Wade McElwain here with another exciting episode of Scrotus POTUS. Joining me in this episode, two very funny guys, one back from Edinburgh, Phil Nichol. Also have Dave Fulton, all the way from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Going to talk about a lot of exciting things here today. We're talking about North Korea. What the hell is going on with these guys? We're talking also about the Hurricane Harvey that's devastated. We're talking about United Nations. Do they actually do anything? Are they a useless tit? What's going on, Antifa? What are they doing? And also, death of the box office. What's happening? How is that affecting the box office? How is it affecting entertainment? How does it affect funny? How does it affect everything? Guys, it's Scrotus POTUS. Share, subscribe, listen, tell your friends. Hey everyone, another exciting episode of Scrotus POTUS. I am your host, Wade McElwain. Joining me, some guests, some very funny guys. One back from Edinburgh, Phil Nichol, back from Edinburgh, Scotland, doing his fantastic tour. Dave Fulton, another returning guest. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Another episode of Scrotus POTUS.
Well, nice to be here.
Yeah, it's good.
We were just talking about how we underdressed. He just felt bad, and I'm here with my Orfino maniacs. Orfino is a small town in Idaho. And it's where they put the criminally insane prisoners. And, and the high school team is called the Maniacs.
That's amazing.
That's nice.
Yeah,
I'm surprised with all the things when they're like redacting all the school names. I'm like, you know, that's really offensive. Because
well, you know what happened is they kind of went, well, we'll name it someplace else. But everybody lobbied, like, can we have the old name back? It's like in Richland, Washington, where the Tri-Cities are, you know, Richland, that's where they developed some of the nuclear, you know, the atomic stuff for the bomb.
Yeah.
And it was called... or I think it was Kirkland, Washington, and they were called the Kirkland Bombers.
Yeah,
and they had a mushroom cloud on their jerseys.
Oh, nice. Oh.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I don't know if they got that one back yet.
No.
Which takes us into our first topic, North Korea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Hey, they threw a missile across Japan, and like Japan has like a warning goes off. Hey, there's a missile coming by.
Yeah.
Stay in your base. Stay in your basement.
Stay in your basement, and yeah.
So, I mean, what do we do about them now?
Can you imagine the people that actually survived Nagasaki and Hiroshima? They hear the thing, they're like, oh crap, here we go again.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This one's bigger, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. But however, it's Korean made. So.
Oh, so
is that kind of was that?
Where's Russian?
Okay, you're allowed to be racist.
It's North Korean way.
Yeah, I guess just the North, though, not the South.
Yeah, not the North.
I don't
not
trust
all Koreans.
I don't trust the bomb that has a full service history.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, what if it did hit Japan, though? Could you imagine what the incident would have set off? If it did, it's like...
What do you think they were aiming for Japan and missed?
Oh, they sent it over Japan. It's like, look what we can do, you know, because it's all the...
Yeah, but they were answering sort of a... It was in an answer to military maneuvers and.
It was an answer to military maneuvers, but those military maneuvers are going on for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, so it's pretty big move to actually throw a missile over a sovereign country.
Yeah.
And over their borders.
It's like being in a cinema and flicking popcorn at some large dude with his girlfriend trying to have a romantic meal.
Flicking it over his head, so he just sees it go over.
Yeah. Like so he turns around and you act like wasn't us.
Well, hey man, I was trying to hit the guy in front of you.
Yeah, sorry.
There's nobody in front of me, man.
The difference being, though, the guy flicking would have a suicide vest on. Because, you know, what is America going to do? They realize it's like, what the hell can you do?
Well, you know, what's crazy about that is China doesn't want North Korea to go to war because the refugee crisis would just cripple.
Sure, plus the fallout or anything else that happens on their border.
You know, and as far as like, you know, we've got a president who says, we got nukes, how come we ain't using them? You know, which was the same thing Nixon used to say. Nixon wanted to nuke North Vietnam for fuck's sake. And we got these things. We get a small one, just pop it in there. That'll teach them a lesson. That kind of shit. And Trump was just right in there. Let's do it.
Well, there is that fear, isn't there, that the Korea has a small one that they could load up.
It's the fire and hell they would unleash on the South and Japan. I mean, I think Trump has changed his rhetoric. They've gone from saying, you're not going to do it, to, hey, we can talk. Hey, can we work this out?
Yeah.
You know, at least they're trying. At least he's making more strides than Obama has.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing with Obama was he kept that détente, that kind of like, you know, if you do this, this is going to be shitty. And they're like, and nothing happened. Then Trump get in there, and of course, you know, Kim Jong-un's like, oh, I gotta see what this guy is. So he's like poking the bear, and Trump's like, whoa, and all the Trump supporters like, yeah, you know, and then you're like, really, yeah, nuclear weapons, yeah, and you're going, whoa, because it's not gonna affect you. And unfortunately, with me living in London, you know, and maybe the western half of the United States and North Korea may go to nuclear war, I'm the point going, God, that looks horrible. You guys want to get a pint or something there? Because that's like miles away, man.
Oh, yeah. The fallout might affect the price of the pint, but other than that, we should be fine.
Sure.
Which way's the wind blowing? Okay, yeah, all right.
But it seems this sort of this ratcheting up that gets to a point that you go, what the fuck is finally going to happen? You know, is America, because it gets to a point where America is going to get really frustrated and they're just going to keep lobbying because obviously they're going to keep practicing to get these missiles right until they can actually get one accurate, and then go okay. But until they get that, they're just going to keep lobbing missiles.
Yeah, well, the grumbling now is because it's you can only suppress information in North Korea or any place for so long before people in North Korea going oh my God, you mean Princess Diana's dead? That kind of stuff.
What? Hold on.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, the Doobie Brothers broke up.
Oh my gosh, you're giving me news, Dave. I haven't read all this stuff yet.
Kennedy's been shot.
Oh.
So, and all they're trying to do, Kim Jong is just trying to maintain that regime. They're trying to maintain that, and it's as you go further along away from that base of defeating the Americans or keeping them at bay on the 38th parallel, it's going to get harder and harder. And especially when the people are like, "Yeah, us," and you go, "God, I'm hungry."
Yeah.
How many speeches will feed you? How many people, and they know that. They know that.
But you also have a guy who basically kills anyone who says anything against him, including his own family, including his family who are close to China.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the problems with the Chinese relationship have dissipated because he's killed everyone who talked to China. It's like, oh, you got a good relationship with China. Boom.
Boom. Yeah.
Or better yet, he tests them on like an aircraft carrier friggin' missile or some shit. He kills people in like really unique ways.
But he knows,
like very old school James Bond tying him into
exactly.
a missile
Yeah.
in front of a. Didn't he shoot one in front of a cannon?
Yeah, he did. Shot one with a cannon. Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe that's what that was. Maybe there was someone tied to that missile, just some sort of
Probably.
Japanese
Yeah, like
spy.
Slim Pickens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he knows that he can't. He knows that he's going to get squashed. He must know this.
Well, I think that the whole thing being
he can't
that,
win.
Everyone you see these conspiracy theories is like North Korea is one of the few that the Rothschilds don't have their banks. These conspiracy Facebook kind of crap going on.
Oh yeah, the banks. Yeah.
But it's sort of it comes to a point where obviously he wants nukes to hold on to his power. He wants nukes to go fuck you world. I can't be taken out. But at some point, someone's going to have to go, look, you can't. China and Russia eventually are going to have to go, look, you can't keep lobbing these things all over the place.
Nukes are the thing that's going to take him out because it's that aggression.
U.S. was tested their most powerful nuclear weapon ever yesterday. And apparently, it's devastating, this thing.
Well, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I've been a little bit busy trying to live a life and raise a child. America detonated a nuclear weapon yesterday?
You obviously can't. You can't obviously under nuclear law. You can't detonate a nuke, but you detonate the bomb and prove that this thing's accurate within 90 feet.
Oh, right. Okay.
And this thing is like big ass. What if it does have a nuke on it? It's going to be big ass.
It's a Kardashian.
You just drop it right into their
pretty much
their shithole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But by the way, with Japan, North Korea is just kind of going. And Japan said, "Look, I'm really sorry we turned your people into whores."
I know, but if they can get that kind of accuracy, then they know where he is. Why don't they just kill him?
Well,
what are they
he's
waiting
deep
around
underground.
For?
Yeah,
That was pictures of him looking at the missile test.
But those things could have been released like weeks ago, and I think they probably have an idea of them.
They don't know exactly.
And he has body doubles just like Saddam Hussein does.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that guy?
The most well-fed guy in North Korea. Yeah. So all I have to do is
I don't mind the haircut.
Just eat and be happy.
Give me steak.
Yeah. Can you imagine being in your village? Everybody in the village goes, you know who you look like? No, who?
No.
Kim Jong-un. Oh, please, no. No. Yeah. Thanks for putting a target on my back.
Sure. Put them all in the same room. That'd be fun.
There's also there's some worrisome things that people are talking about too. That September 9th. Apparently I've read also on Facebook that the end of the world ends on the 23rd. So the 9th.
Oh, great.
Just
23rd of what? September.
September apparently.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm in Manchester.
Perfect place. September 9th is the anniversary of the North Korea's founding day.
Oh, okay.
And
that's
so
when they do. That's when they do the parade.
So they're wondering if that's going to be the day they decide to go. Okay, Guam. Because their whole thing is they want to, basically they want a meaningful prelude to containing Guam, which just sounds like a pretty fucking terrifying thing. There's three big military.
It sounds like a musical thing. It's a musical prelude. Hair today, Guam tomorrow.
It's been 10 minutes and Phil finally broke into song.
Yeah, well, you guys, I want to try some entertainment to this podcast.
Still coming down
this
from
talk,
Edinburgh.
Talk.
Your opinion.
But is it? As an American, what would America do if? America would have to act if
they dropped a nuke on Guam, it'd be game over.
Or what if they just started shooting missiles around Guam?
If they started shooting missiles around Guam, we wouldn't nuke North Korea. I'm just some fucking joke slinger from North Idaho, but the contention is from after I was at home in June and talked to a lot of people who voted for Trump and got to kind of understand why they did it. But in the same respect, I don't think it would be just hell on earth, fire and fuel like the world's never known, like fucking numbnuts was talking about. But I do think the military would come in with some strategic strikes that, with cameras on the front of the missiles, so we can all watch it again and again on YouTube. That would just take this mother. I mean, if you think, you don't think that they don't know kind of where these things are launching, and they've got all that laser sighted on, and if they, you know, like we're going to launch a missile over, you know, into Guam tomorrow, there's going to be kind of a, yeah, you, fuck you, and then somebody's going to hand them a note under the table going, you better read that. And going, oh shit, they actually are looking at us right now, you know? And
well, the missile they launched in Japan, apparently the U.S. and no one really knew it was coming. It was one of those things at 16 minutes, they suddenly like, oh crap, there it is. It was launched from a mobile missile or from a missile launcher through the major airport.
Well, I'm not saying they would know when the missile went, but after it went.
Oh yeah, after it
went and it landed, it'd be like, boom.
Yeah.
That's it. The keys would be turned. Damn.
Well, you wonder about the especially if you use missiles, you know, is that a start of a war? You know, if someone fires a missile, you knock it down. It's like,
well, that's why the Japanese didn't knock that one down. Surely,
well, they knew
they did not. That would have been an act of aggression, and Korea would have used that as an.
Well, an act of aggression. I mean,
they launched a missile over your house.
I know, but it's not at your house.
If you're sleeping and someone starts pissing over your face while you're sleeping, and while they are maybe a little bit dribbling on you, it's landing in the pool behind you.
Memories.
Exactly.
I pay good money for that.
Speaking of that, bro.
And that guy had a picture.
I said it in my face. Yeah. But I mean, you're gonna go, hey man, you're pissing across my face.
Yeah,
you know, eventually you've got your dick out, it's against my face, and there's a steady stream of piss going across my face.
Sure.
A lot of people dream about it. I'm just wondering.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, the
Security Council's met though, right? So the UN China being part of that discussion, I think we'll have this in the strongest terms.
On the other side of this, though, I mean, as far as like North Korea going, we're gonna do this, blah blah blah, and all the other countries that are, you know, part of the nuclear, what's it called? Non-proliferation, all that kind of stuff. You know, there are saner heads are prevailing elsewhere. Even Pakistan, who has their batshit crazy moments, are just kind of going, whoa.
Yeah.
And Trump, at this point, has made himself such a fucking international laughingstock that he's like, that's right, nukes tomorrow. They're like, yeah. We're not really doing that, by the way.
We're not exactly,
Yeah, everybody just look at his wife. She's in high heels.
Everyone calm down,
Yeah, because I think initially, if he'd actually shown any kind of reserve and judgment and leadership skills, you know, and kept himself on the teleprompter, read what was scripted, and then said, right, we have to act. You kind of go, okay, all right, he knows what's going down. But you just go, no, you're just, you know, you're gonna go to some place like, you know, Colorado, eastern Colorado or Kansas, run another one of your goddamn, you know, Trump rallies, which, quite honestly, at this point, just creep the fuck out of me.
Sure.
I mean, really fucking
You don't like
creepy.
seeing thousands of white men in khakis
Well, you know,
and
the
white
last
shirts?
one-
Hundreds, not thousands, hundreds.
It's like a Best Buy employees
Well, the
convention.
last one, after about an hour, most of them left, and because you know, you're 3/4 is an hour in the parking meter, so you know you got to go out and feed the meter or just fuck off. So, so it's dwindling, but because he is so egocentric and a megalomaniac, and that sells fucking newspapers, and it makes people turn. And I need an intervention. I need my friends to come over, turn off the TV, going, dude, you have to stop watching this. You have to
Get
stop
off the
watching
news,
this.
Dave.
You have to start commenting on Facebook. You have to go. Yeah, and some of the people I grew up with, I've unfriended them because they're getting all their news from Breitbart. They call themselves like, I have no problem with minorities as long as they got here legally. And I'm like, well, you didn't, you fucking cracker. I mean, you got to remember, about 80%, you know, give or take, of the black people in America were brought there against their will, slavery, right? And the white people who've been there maybe 100 and a half are going, you know, and you're like, wait, they were kind of here before you. Maybe you should cut them a little more slack because they laid the, you know, they fucking laid the path there.
That sounds like logic to me, though, Dave.
No.
Yeah, that actually makes
I don't think
sense,
that works in today's protestings and everything.
No.
I mean, it's interesting to think too that America does not have an ambassador to South Korea right now. It's a vacant position, and they're trying to nominate this guy Victor Cha.
I don't want to go.
Yeah, no one really wants to, but this guy's like,
what would you?
This guy Victor Cha, he's like an expert on North Korea, and basically his whole thing is China is not doing enough. We need to push all the thing onto China. China should be the one. They need to take a starring role. Why does China not want to get involved? Is it because Trump's an idiot? I mean, you'd think that they want better relations, so why not step in and do something as opposed to going, don't do that.
Well, you know, I think, you know, Trump obviously is constantly is like, China and I, we have a great relationship, and then like 4 tweets later, you're like, oh man, you know, and so that's kind of dwindling. And also, China has so much paper on America.
Yeah.
I mean, they own.
That they also own them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they own them. So if we go, you got this in China's like, to just point at the
You just
at
want
the
to
loan
vote for it,
papers
that's
going,
it.
no,
You
I don't
think you should
think
shut
so.
up now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So-
almost like China and America. It's like watching the relationship between Chris Brown and Rihanna. You know, it's just sort of
Wow.
this toxic.
Who's Chris Brown?
I think America.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Throw a few pops and then cry, I didn't mean to. I love
Yep,
you.
but do you know what the problem with that is? Chris Brown was regretting the afterwards. That was a monster. I can't believe I did that.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. That was under
And
influence.
America has not done that.
Well, I think
Not yet.
the only reason he regretted it because it affected his album sales and people wouldn't work with him.
Right.
But that's what
Right.
is happening to America.
Yeah, no,
It's going to
exactly.
affect their album sales.
It's gonna affect it.
Hey.
Well, that's another thing he said about Trump said about the Hurricane Henry or
Harvey.
Harvey.
Yeah, you know,
Harvey.
when we showed up, it's a good turnout. Thanks for.
Yeah.
Thanks for you guys in your boats here. It's really nice to see you. Came out brave the weather.
They should just have a guy with a trombone behind, or like a tuba.
Yeah,
Everything he says.
with a cup mute.
Well, you mentioned the United Nations Security Council. Does the UN? I mean, you've got China and Russia on there who basically shoot each other in the foot anytime there's anything meaningful consequence in the world. Is the United Nations? Is it even matter anymore?
Well, yeah.
There's,
It does.
there's billboards in North Idaho that says U.S. out of UN, out of United
Well, I mean,
Nations.
there's
of
American
course,
conspiracy theories that the United Nations is planting signals in the road signs so they can be prepared for the invasion.
That's not true.
Well, that's just nuts.
How? I mean, when
Obviously, it needs to be. There
But you
needs to
know
be a remodeling. Like, so it was the League of Nations, and it was remodeled, right? So it needs to
That
be-
was Woodrow Wilson.
So it needs to be remodeled. You know, it can't just sit there as a bureaucracy. It has
But you
to-
know, the thing about that, every intelligent president we've had has, you know, history's beat the shit out. You know, Woodrow Wilson tried to form the League of Nations.
Yeah.
It bit him in the ass. You know, but, you know, Richard Nixon, who was brilliant and a foreign policy expert, but incredibly paranoid and a crook, so, you know, that bit him. But then Reagan, who was a fucking dim light bulb, but a huge people person, we had a successful, you know, 8 years there with him. So you kind of look at Trump going, okay, you're obviously, you're incredibly fucking dimwit, but you have no personality. Nobody wants to follow you, even into the toilet to wipe your ass. So, you know, you kind of wonder, well, you know, what's the lead on this? And also, you know, the UN just issued a thing that gave a warning to the United States that you're heading down a racist path. And these are the same warnings they gave to, like, fucking, you know,
Israel.
Nicaragua and
Yeah.
Israel and
Yeah.
Sierra Leone, and now America. You know, and my friends in the States vote for Trump going, oh, they're just watching that, you know, that fake news about the, you know, this, that, in Charlottesville. And I'm like, yeah, I just, you know.
Yeah, that misdirection of the fake news thing drives
Oh,
me
it drives me nuts.
Drives
Drives me
me,
nuts.
drives me insane.
But I mean, even when you look at the United Nations and all the conflicts going on in the world and all this shit that's happening, and you look at like even the Darfur crisis or problems going on with Boko Haram, are they doing anything? You know, when you've got inequality, what are they actually doing?
Well, they send.
I mean, I'm just saying this is
no,
as like
they send international troops with cool helmets.
blue helmets
Yeah.
so you can
Yeah.
pick them off better.
well,
people are-
they do send regional troops as well, which isn't always in Africa, not always the best idea to have those regional troops because there is so much fighting amongst those nations anyway. But it's better than having, you know, can't send Swedish guys to the middle of the
But I think you
Congo.
need something like United Nations if you didn't have that, where
You have
everybody
to have it.
you can come in, and even if that person has, you know, limited influence, you still have to go, why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah,
You're like, hey
you-
man, I'm just collecting a paycheck here, you know, so you can actually physically, you know,
Yeah.
address a nation on a one-to-one basis, and that message will be taken back. Not that they would, you know, take that seriously, but at least go, hey. And now before we break for lunch, the United Nations guys, they don't like us. Okay, who wants the ham sandwich? You know,
Yeah,
right?
well, if you don't have the United Nations, it ends up being fights in the parking lot, right? If you don't have people going, hey, hold on, sit down, let's talk about it. If you don't have that, you just have people going at it.
Well, with technology now, I
But
mean, the thing with technology now, you could just get rid of the United Nations and have every major head of every country on WhatsApp, you know, where you're like,
Well-
I'm bombing North Korea. What? What's happening? This and that. Hey, who ordered the?
Well,
you know?
we're moving
Yeah.
towards the new world order where we all have a vote all the time on everything.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
who really cares
Yeah,
about it? Though?
yeah, that's the
So
bad
you know,
thing.
we're gonna have
You know,
referendum 4 or 5 referendums a day.
Yeah.
There's always
each.
been the
Should it be National
crazies.
Pancake Day?
There's always been the crazies. It's just now that everybody has the voice. I mean, it's like my black friends back in America. And they're like, hey, you know, the violence isn't new. It's the cameras.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's been happening for fucking years.
Well, that's sure. And those, those things happening in the Berkeley beatings, all that stuff. That's just because we can see them now.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought those things were happening. Those things are always been happening.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager in Toronto, which is like not anywhere near like America.
More white bread, please.
No, I was running like 15. We went to ARA meetings in Nathan Square. There's a National Front meeting. We all went along to try and beat them up. But we were like teenagers. But if you showed that on film, it looked like nasty, violent, anti-racist action. It's like a bunch of kids.
There was decent people on both sides.
Kids slapping each other over the top of people going, "Stop it!"
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it's not violent. It's not that. I think you said it was something like ultra violence of the Antifa.
I don't know if you saw. So if you saw what happened in Berkeley last week, because there was supposed to be the right wing rally in San Francisco, that was canceled. Originally, the protesters were going to just have their dog shit everywhere, so they would step in dog shit. Tee hee hee, how funny. So then San Fran canceled it, and then Berkeley, there was the protest, 4,000 people, sort of anti-racism, but people were very calm. But then these Antifa people, black masks, sneak in with the crowd, and people that were on both sides say, you saw these guys come in, like whether they're whatever their affiliation or whatever it is, they sneak in and then they start booting people, and they were carrying these shields, I guess, that had like pastel shields with like slogans and stuff on them, and so they would use their shields and go right in. I mean, obviously violence sucks in any time when you're trying to have a discourse, but how can you disguise it as the left and go, no, we're not like the right wing, we're here for thoughts and ideas, and then you go and you boot stomp people who are being peaceful.
Yeah, but there is that, and I get that. But if you show up, there's like a rally for one side, and the protesters from the other side, and they show up, and like these guys started throwing punches. They had shields, and they had black masks, and they had sticks, and like okay, well, who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? I'm kind of going with the guys waving the Nazi flag, even if they're peacefully holding a Nazi flag and doing Sieg Heils and Hail Trump and all the other kind of stuff. And they're like, yeah, but those guys over there with the flags, they go beating up on us, they're worse than us. I'm like, yeah, but, and I granted, that's not the right way to do it, but you're holding a motherfucking Nazi flag.
Yeah.
Okay,
And this is the country that went over there to fucking knock the shit out of these guys. And, my uncle was D-Day +1, and if he was alive today, he would be losing his mind over this. And also the Confederate statues. We all know they put them up during the Jim Crow days and during the equal rights, the whole civil rights thing in the 60s. It's not like, I've always seen that statue there.
Exactly.
You were born in 72.
Yeah, those statues were made out of brass, and they've crumbled when they pulled them down because they were cheap. They're
not made out of marble. They're not made. They're not solid.
They're just
It's
rubbish.
a Walmart statue.
Yeah, they're horrible.
Exactly.
Yeah, put up
Absolutely
by the
horrible.
daughters of the Confederacy who were trying to bring back.
But it does bring the reality is that the South hasn't. There's still a lot of problems with that.
Oh, God, yeah.
But there's still,
issues.
this is Berkeley, though. This is
and-
California, though. This is supposed to be in the cradle of enlightenment in California. And the mayor of Berkeley has even said that he wants to block Antifa from coming in ever again.
Well, see, I can, as someone that sort of sits to the left of this argument, I don't think that violence back, fighting fire with fire, has ever worked. Because then the worst bit of it is what happened in the G20 in Toronto. Is you get agent provocateurs who then turn it into an anarchist. Something that anarchists and anti-fascists. So if they start fighting that way with masks and the next thing you know is to just get infiltrated and end up killing someone, and then that'll look bad. That'll make the left wing look. The right wing will use it against it. So that's what will happen.
Well, that's
Seattle,
what's starting to
same thing.
happen now.
Yeah.
Seattle, same thing. When that happened years ago, a buddy of mine has a snowboard shop there. The Snowboard Connection. He used to have a radio show in L.A. and I said, so what'd you do when old Brick off here? And he goes, I got a couple $100 in $5 bills and just walked into the crowd, and they're like, fuck you. And I go, hey, you want $5? They're like, what's this for? I just want to give you $5. Oh, cool. Yeah. And they just like fucked off and got a coffee.
Yeah.
I said, so you paid him off to go away? He goes, yeah, I paid both sides. Like, fuck off.
Oh, that's a good. Maybe we should just
exactly.
fly planes with the 20s.
Just drop money.
Just drop money.
Man, I would attend more rallies.
I would definitely
Like
be
turn it
attending
Black
more
Friday.
rallies.
Yeah. We're only paying off the Nazis.
Who hates Nazis? I know.
No, we like Nazis. No, I like them now. Where's my $100?
Yeah.
Actually,
pay to play on both sides.
that is simplistic, but that is what should be happening. The American government put money into education and paying people to hate it. They would.
Sure. That's how it's exactly, you get paid for your opinion. Just do it on Facebook. Yeah. Why do it live? Just
well,
Facebook.
It's not
click on here to hate.
It's not going to get any better because America made massive cuts to family planning, and the abortion thing and all the other kind of crap. They're not funding any of this kind, not funding any birth control. So we're going to have this 4-year chunk of teenage pregnancies of, from incredibly low income, undereducated individuals, and these people are going to be brought up in that. So 18 to, well, not 18, I said, say 20 to 25 years from now, we're going to have a crime wave in the United States. We're like, where the fuck did these guys come from? It's because we cut any kind of education, any kind of family planning status, anything that would stem that off. And that was, in Freakonomics, they proved that. So,
is there a way, though, with that wall being built, that maybe you could build an abortion clinic inside the wall?
Well, my big thing right now is I think we're building the wall on the wrong border. I want the wall between us and Canada.
Yeah, good luck.
You know what? We'll pay for it.
Because you guys
pay for it. You guys like, you have health care.
Yeah,
look at you and look at me, David.
We'll do a little Game of Thrones wall of ice there for you.
Global warming, it'll be gone in a week.
And plus, guys like Dave will just climb that.
I'll just climb that.
Yeah,
we'll build all the meth we collect from you guys at the border.
Yeah, wow.
That kind of a nice wall.
Wow.
There was interesting, though, because Trump, and everyone's sort of off about this, that Trump, he repealed, Obama had a law basically banning police officers from having military equipment.
Right.
And so Trump's like, come on, you need the military equipment. So he's allowed it back again, because you also had a lot of guys that were joining police forces that were former military.
Yeah.
Obviously that hadn't been dealt with in a psychological sense. It's like, no, you still want to kill people. Yeah, okay, here's a gun and a badge.
Well, that's, the military, obviously, there's a high turnover of weapons and technology and everything like this. And so they essentially kind of have two choices. It's either sell it to a foreign country, eBay and Nicaragua, or you sell it off to law enforcement. And they're like, this is an easy one because it's in the armory, on the state line. We'll just sell it to Montana and happy days. And as a result, and I've seen this, I've seen the trunks of some of the cop cars in the United States, and you're like, holy shit, are we going to be invaded anytime soon?
But didn't I say that on one of the earlier SCOTUS posts that I thought that maybe Trump was going to try and revitalize the Rust Belt by turning it into war weapons manufacturing? And I mean, cars, vehicles for police forces that can also be used by the army.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could also melt down all the guns and turn them into statues of Confederate heroes. That is something.
You could do that.
Yeah. Was it banging swords into plowshares? That'll never happen.
Do you see the guy that got his armory ripped off? That the arms salesman. They just drove his truck through the door, and then you look at the building. It's got like a 12-high fence with a little bit of barbed wire. like it's the easy. Like all they did is drive a truck through the door and then steal. And they left loads of weapons, but they just wanted one of those. $30,000 worth of weapons.
Well, during the Barack Obama was the number one icon for firearm sales in the United States. They sold more guns during the Obama administration than they've ever had in the history of every other president combined.
Why
think about it? Because the NRA was convinced, and they had everybody else convinced, and the Republican Party had everybody convinced that Barack Obama was going to take the guns away, not register them, not maybe put a restriction on military-grade weapons, which fucking holy shit.
Yeah.
But it's like he's going to take them. So there was a rush. Like, I want to get that one, because that guy in the in the White House, he's going to take them all. And now that Trump's in, because sales are like, yay! Trump's in, people are like, well, I don't need to buy any more guns. So all the gun manufacturers, they are fucking, Labor Day sales on guns. Hey, everyone an AR-15, normally $600, marked down to $255. And
that's a good deal.
And nobody's buying them because they're like, I already got one. I paid $600 for mine. Now it's fucking $255. And you're like, well, maybe I'll get another one for the wife. And that's what it's kind of come down to.
My daughter's 16th birthday coming up.
That's what you want to get a girl for the prom. AR-15 assault rifle, just in case. Obviously, another big thing going on in America, which is devastating, the worst storm in 50 years. Hurricane Harvey touched ground. Now,
it's all that gay sex in Texas.
It's bittersweet because
where's Capro when you need him for a quippy compound?
Harvey's a devastating hurricane, but it's also my father's name, so I was kind of rooting for it in a way.
Well, okay.
You're just sort of like, when you hear one out named after something. But it's. And a lot of people it seems weird too when you have, the president is, everyone by all accounts, dealing with it very well. He showed up, and people, even though, are going off about Melania's footwear. The whole thing, it just seems it's when you've got a president dealing with a global catastrophe who's sort of a climate denier when we have one of the worst storms in 50 years hit. The sort of irony there of, You know, the reason that the Gulf is going to get worse and worse for hurricanes because not only the warm water, because it's getting warmer and warmer, but what's happened is you have a lot of nitrates that have gone in through the rivers that come in and just kill. Like if you look at the Gulf of Mexico, it is dead.
Yeah.
Like it is dead. So these hurricanes just whip up and then punch America right in the throat. I mean, what can you do about these things? Is there anything you just sort of wait for August?
The thing is, you remember Houston was hammered with a horrible storm back in just at the beginning of the turn of the 20th century. I mean, just, you know, this wall of water just came right up, you know, and just wiped everything out. And so all the climate change deniers are going, yeah, what about that one?
Yeah.
You know? Fair enough. There you go. What I find, you know, ironic is, you know, Trump signed in an executive order to cut federal funding for emergency, you know, the FEMA thing by $600 million. But it doesn't go into effect till like October.
Yeah.
No.
So all the stuff that's happening, all the aid, everything else like this, is happening from the Barack Obama administration. That's where all that stuff is in there. It's kind of like when Bush went into Afghanistan and Iraq. People are like, oh my God, look at the cool weapons Bush has. They were developed during the Clinton administration.
Yeah, okay.
You know, all that was done there during the stop and search. So so all that's in there, and people are like, oh yeah, we got this, we got that, and the FEMA guys are going, we're going to be dealing with this for years, you know, and and there's always going to be harsh criticisms about, you know, this and that should have been happening this, and why did the mayor not do a full evacuation? He goes, because I didn't want 6.5 million people on the roads.
Yeah.
I can kind of understand.
No, I think hindsight has proven that right. You know,
yeah.
it would have been, I mean, you've lost maybe 16, 17 people, but imagine the carnage of everyone leaving.
and also, you got to remember they're Texans.
Yeah.
I mean, they're nice folks, but they ain't, you know, hey, there's something coming in, I'm Texan. Nobody pushing me off my land. I'm a Texan. Holy shit, I'm drowning.
Yeah.
You know? And by the way, you know, there's a huge fucking flood in India right now.
Yeah, no,
and
there's
hundreds have died.
1,500 or something have died in Southeast Asia.
And they're probably
so
looking
far.
at Texas going, you fucking pussies.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I did think, what you watch the news, not that I, you know, obviously it's sad, the loss of life is sad, but you're looking at everyone in like really top quality rain gear, boats, guys with, you know, water skis and all that stuff.
Jet skis, they all came in with bass boats. I think that was kind of cool. The entire top half of Texas came down and went, we got to help them.
We helped them, yeah.
Well, it's been a very,
pretty cool.
It's a
I
very
do think
human spirit. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, that's exactly. You know, and it's probably the same in India. They just don't have the infrastructure to save those people.
They need more guns.
You know,
Well, that's it.
They
If
had
you had guns,
stop the flood.
You use guns as a paddle.
Yeah.
You can shoot the flood as it comes to your house. I guarantee you someone tried to shoot the flood. I guarantee you there was some drunk I'll shoot that flood for coming in my house.
Yeah.
I shot my
You
dog.
see the guy that caught the fish in his living room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the shark in the one
Well,
of the rivers.
you see sharks, but there was a lot of people seeing sharks, and it was like hoaxy kind of stuff. It was like, I saw a shark now.
Okay.
There's gators, but there was one funny one I saw of someone. There was fire ants. You know, fire ants. I don't know if you ever
Oh
touched.
yeah, I saw the thing, the picture today.
Did you see one? There was another one of a person touching them.
Oh
Touch
no.
the fire ants. It's like,
Oh, no. Oh no.
Oh my God.
I've been stung by fire ants before, and those fucking hurt.
Well, there was an article today saying there's fire ant, the injuries that people have sustained are fire ant bites on fire ant bites on fire ant bites, and which they're finding really hard to deal with.
It's
you see the pictures of them. There's like a room this size, just like that thick with fire ants, and you got to wade through them to safety.
to get it safety. It's like an extra. Yeah.
And they're waist high. Unlucky.
I got
and the gig is on the other end of the room.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his pay?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, exactly. I got bit by them once when I was in Florida, and I think it was only a couple of them that bit me, but I couldn't wear a shoe on the plane. Like, that's how bad it was the next day.
Yeah.
And you're sort of like, it was pre 9/11 too, which is lucky, but you're just like, holy shit. And they're like, oh, fire ants. Oh, you learned. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Still bitter.
I know. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's this whole, I mean.
Let's talk about that pastor dude.
Oh, Joel Osteen?
Oh,
that guy who would let people into his church?
That's a slappable face. Am I allowed to say
I would
that?
open up my doors with the
I'm
parking
allowed
lot's
to say
flooded.
that?
Did you see
Yeah.
the guys in the
Yes.
parking lot? They're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the
I
Bible
think he eventually
verse?
did give in.
He did.
He did give in.
He did.
It's easier to get a camel
Tuesday.
to the
He says they can come in on Tuesday.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tuesday.
exactly.
Yeah, well, it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no
Yeah.
poor people.
No
Yeah.
poor people.
Yeah, $10 entry.
He's giving them
two-drink
air
minimum.
mattresses in case the flood does hit. Lido.
Well, God told him to do that. God's like, don't let the poor people in. They're just going to ruin everything.
man.
You don't want them on the
his $10
furniture.
million mansion. He's got about like 20 kids as well, all from different countries. He's a collector. Wow. Got one, need
Or
him.
is he just like picks them up like
Yeah, just
Beanie
like-
Babies or something.
yeah,
He's like
no.
Madonna squared.
Yeah, but he brings them into the church and goes, "Look what I've done, another great thing. Woo-hoo, give him more money."
It is. I mean, when you see that sort of whole faith culture of
Criminal
America. When I was in
faith
Florida,
culture.
seeing so many churches that were obviously poor churches, and then you see these other churches, you're like, what the fuck is that thing? That
Yeah.
shining jewel
Yeah,
of like
You
you
think
know,
it's a mall? You're like,
oh
hey.
yeah,
18,000. It's like a hockey arena.
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing, and there's been no skating. I don't get it.
And I mean, people obviously he's enriching his empire by doing that, but you know, it's sort
And
of
not paying any taxes either.
yeah, exactly.
Well, there's the big one. No, it's got to be stopped. I should shine a light on it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely disgusting.
Well, God
That's-
should shine a light on it. I mean, that's his people, right?
Well, yeah. It's unfortunately there is no God
What?
for retribution. No God, no retribution.
Oh.
Pastor Osteen.
So here's another interesting thing that I saw. I don't know if you know the Sea Shepherd. You know this thing? It's a hunts
Oh,
of
yeah,
whaling,
yeah,
the
yeah,
hunts
yeah.
of whaling vessels. There's one that they got. I remember seeing it. It was like called the My Addy Gill. Somebody gave them it was like a trimaran, like cruising vehicle, like around the world. This Australian one, and then the Japanese just smashed into it, broke it. But they're basically saying that they can no longer, since they've been doing it since 2005, they've been shadowing the Japanese.
Yeah.
Because the Japanese still love to kill whales, even though they say it's for scientific research. And
Sure.
meanwhile, they just put them on people's
Word
plates.
has it, if you hold a whale up, it'll block North Korean missiles.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard it was block the eclipse. I didn't know about missiles too, because that's what they were using for eclipses, just holding up whales.
The
Wait,
blubber.
wait a minute. So Sea Shepherd has stopped sailing and North Korea is starting to fire missiles. Maybe we will discover North Korea is being run by Greenpeace.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that would explain so many things?
It would.
I don't know what it would, but I mean, Japan. I mean, killing whales. Everyone's basically said, don't kill the whales.
Yeah.
and especially you can't go to Antarctica and do it because that's not your waters.
Yeah.
And they killed 311 last year of the minky whales
Yeah.
for science purposes.
But they're also killing them in a farm area where they're not supposed to be killing them.
Yeah, well, they're
So
also
it's-
what the problem, I guess, the Sea Shepherd people are saying. These Australian group is basically saying what they've done is equip all of their boats with military equipment. They have tracking things, but they also hide from us, and they also have military boats with reclaimed to help protect them. So we can't even get even close to them. And even if we do, Japan just passed a law this year that if you go after a boat like that, that's a terrorist act, and you are all terrorists, and you'll be arrested for terrorism.
You gotta remember though that minke whale blubber is good for the you know
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's not working.
But
No,
what's
because
wrong with like Viagra then? Like, do you really need whale blubber?
More chemicals. This is all
Yeah.
natural.
Yeah,
man.
the population has been going down in Japan though, so it's not working.
Yeah.
Lose the minky.
I mean, at one point, because when we have you winky for your dinky,
There you go.
minky,
Minky,
minky dink,
minky,
yeah,
winky
minky
dink,
dink.
winky dink.
At what point? I mean, do we just let Japan do this shit? Do we let any country go around and
I
start?
reckon we should fire missiles at them.
I mean,
Hell,
if they were doing it to
the
dogs, you know, if they were rounding up dogs, which is a lot easier to round up, by the way, you just open up the gate and come on in. But if they did that, I think people would be fucking incensed.
So they do it in China.
They do that.
They do it in China, and
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I
eat
mean,
dogs.
yeah, and there's a
cutting
festival
down.
recently where
Chinese eats anything that's got legs except for the table. That's
there
what
was
they say.
there was something online recently about them boiling. They boiled dogs live.
Yeah.
because it gets the
Gets a fur off faster.
it gets the yeah.
Yeah, because
I've actually. Do you
When
have
they
a
go into
recipe
rigor.
for that online? Is that on?
Oh, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I
I
know
know
so-
you like a barbecue.
also they hit them with a blowtorch when they're alive too.
It's to get the adrenaline going, makes them taste better. I suppose.
Does the same work for human?
Don't know.
But every
We're
country,
gonna find out.
every country kind of has its generational ecological ignorance. I mean,
But this has been going on for a while, and they're increasing their kills. You know, and the whole thing is just this guy's getting under research.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, who?
There was that what was that fantastic movie, The Cove?
Okay, yeah.
You know, just see that
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the documentary. What a
Dolphins,
great! I think it won an Academy Award. It's a great film. If anyone listening wants to watch a great film, The Cove. It's
Cove.
heartbreaking. And the guy that led that expedition goes to he's been turfed out of that whaling conference run by Japan. It's a whale preservation conference run by Japan. The whole thing's a joke, really.
No, they're just looking for new recipes and how to catch them better,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
It is sad when you start. I mean, because there are global populations, some certain animals. I mean, obviously, as inhabitants of this planet, we have to protect them.
Yeah.
Right. We do have a responsibility to protect the other things that are smaller than us because
Yeah.
it makes us a bigger thing. But at what point do you stop a nation and go, "Don't do that"? I mean, in Canada, obviously, our natives kill a lot of seals and stuff, but they're doing it like there's only like 20 of them they're killing, and it's for their community. They eat it all.
Yeah.
It's not like the government's doing it. It's like, yeah, go ahead, kill a few.
Yeah.
You know,
but
and
but the flip side is you get up to And what's thing? It's an economic thing. You know, the black rhino horn. You know, idea. Oh my God, they get tens of thousands of dollars for that black rhino. And snow leopard pelts. You know, which like all holy shit, incredibly protected animal, beautiful, and they're still slaughtering them out. So, and it's all about economic reasons. I mean,
and you mentioned the rhinos, and I had a friend of mine that was in Africa helping and volunteering with a lot of the sort of thing, and he said like there were like people using high-powered rifles shooting these rhinos in captivity and then going in and shooting at the guys. Like, who the fuck is buying rhino horns? I mean, I think it's trying to identify.
It's medicine, isn't it? Yeah. It's superstition and medicine mixed
together.
But
I mean, shouldn't we then flood the market with like a whole bunch of knockoff rhino horns? Like, if we were to then create and like go into like a 3D printer or whatever the fuck it is, create like an extra 30,000 fake rhino horns and just put them in the market and go, there you go. You don't know which ones are real anymore.
Well, they were cutting them off. They were attacking them, cutting them off, and some of the trying to keep the numbers up. They're bringing them down. But you just hear about the other one. There was an African tribe that there's a specific whatever following that believes if you eat human body parts, it makes you stronger. And if you eat the heart and the liver of a woman, you become bulletproof. And I just heard some BBC World Service where this guy came in the police station and says, arrest me, I'm tired of eating human beings. And they went, get the fuck out of here. And he pulled out a hand out of his thing. I got this, I got a foot, I'm tired of eating this stuff. And they went back to his house and they found like a stock pot full of ears and and there was this whole village of women who were scared, they couldn't even go down the well because these guys are grabbing them and then cooking their parts up and feeding them off to the criminals because they believed it made them invincible. So that shit is still happening. Yeah.
This crazy superstition.
Well, I'm just never going to vaccinate my children. That's what I'm going to do. Because that's science has taught us anything.
Mine's already been.
Hey, you can't believe science anymore.
Fake news, is it?
Yeah, fake news. Not even fake news, it's a faith.
If
you have faith in science.
What they're doing now, especially with global warming, it's called attribution science, isn't it? That if you can attribute certain things, which is, I think, which they're trying to sort of get in, that scientists are hoping this attribution science comes in, because then it allows you to then prove certain things and then retroactively sue people who like pollute or do something bad, because you can attribute the science to, people say, my pollutants didn't do this. It's like attribution science. Actually, you did, motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, I hope that is true, because I think there's a lot of companies out there that just laugh in the face of the the research. But I mean, I think the whole idea of, and the same as the fake news, the experts aren't experts anymore. Well, we have to believe somebody. And I know that it can be used. A lot of pharmaceutical companies, you use experts to, purport this and that, but you still have to somehow get through it, dig through it, and believe experts, because people that do study it, especially when it comes to climate change, the people that are studying it probably have our best interests at heart overall, or are hired by the energy people to put false facts out.
Well, those are the scary ones when you wonder who the doctors on the pay, because there's so many of those that happen, especially in America when it comes to pharmaceuticals and stuff, that doctors will just tell exactly what the person who bought their Cancun vacation told them to say.
That's the thing too, is because I'm still friends with a buddy of mine friends of mine in the Northwest. And, meth is huge. Crystal meth is destroying communities. Opiate addiction destroying communities. And they're like, oh, you guys have a meth problem over in the UK? I'm like, well, no, not really. And like, and they're like, what do you mean you don't? Well, we don't. Well, do you know what it is? Oh yeah, they know what it is. And I think, because I asked around, I have friends of mine, in the gay community, they're like, oh yeah, it's a gay club. It's a gay drug. Yeah, all the gay people, do meth. And so it's kind of like, oh, you do crystal meth? Oh, wow, you gay? And it's not like I want to stay up for fucking 14 days. And so it just never caught on here. And the opiate thing is taken care of because the NHS doesn't, freely just prescribe tons of pharmaceuticals because they get kickbacks from the pharmaceutical salesmen and all. And, get free holidays and this, that, and the other. But yeah, sure, the whole town has been fucking wrecked with OxyContin, but fuck it, man. You see my boat?
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's one of the problems right now with the world in general, and definitely America, is it's me, 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 me.
Yeah.
What are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? Are you going to help me out? Do you know how hard I get that more times than I have ever in my life in the last year, just the last fucking 12 months.
Yeah.
It's people, Dave, how you doing? Dad passed about a year ago, kind of under it financially. Yeah, well, you think you're under it. My such and such, this and that. And you're like, wait a minute, you asked me how my life is. I told you, I'm not asking for a handout. Now you're fucking piling it onto me. And so I listened to it and go, okay, that's really bad. Is there any way we can solve that? You go, yeah, you could fucking win the lottery and make me happy. Money's not going to make you happy.
Yeah.
No.
Look at Steve Jobs at the end of it. He's like, fuck, I would have given the whole, operating system over to anybody who'd get this fucking pancreatic cancer out of my belly. But so it is. It's just turned into this whole, what the fuck are you know about me? And no acknowledging of what's happened, what's come before.
Yeah.
We see in our industry. You watch a comic, this guy's hot. Maybe you've seen this new comedian, he's a fucking bomb. You see him, you're like, yeah, you go see him, and you're like, oh my God, he's doing jokes about wearing a condom inside out, ribbed, because he wants the pleasure for himself. And you're like, I heard that joke in '87.
Yeah.
And you're like, so? It's still funny. And you're like, yeah, but he's not the
He's
latest
not an
thing.
originator, yeah.
This is not
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
But you've made it about him.
It's almost like that. You're right. You're touching on that thing, which I almost call like it's like a cocaine class of people, where it's everyone's sort of talking about me, and no one's really listening anymore because it's all about getting to that next fact, and people are so neurotic and sort of insecure that it becomes, as you're right, you start talking, it's like, oh, my life is shit. You know what? That's fucking bad. You know what? I haven't, and you're just like, fuck. And it's that sort of Facebook generation of it all too, where it's everyone just blathering on.
And you get sucked into it. I mean, the
Yeah.
other night, Saturday night, I was doing shows at the Comedy Store. I park up, all these cars are parked up in the motorcycle parking in the bays, and it's still motorcycle parking for like another 10 minutes. I pull up and I park between this guy and his brand new Mercedes and this other thing, and he's leaning against the car. I'm like, you have 10 minutes, what the fuck are you doing here? He's like, what, you tell me what to do? And so we kind of yell into each other, and I'm holding my helmet, and in the past, I just would have caved his head in, but I just thought, no, the CCTV cameras, he's got to make the first move. He's yelling at me, he's like, fuck you, and I just kind of went, whoa, and I went, stop, just stop. Dude, just stop. No, you fucking, and he's already taken the next level. So I turned around and walk away. I said, go do him. I said, come out. He's in the car. And he comes up to him, and I just went like this. I said, look, man, you just calm down. And he comes up, and I go, look, it's totally my fault. I jumped to the conclusions. It's all on me. Bad day. I'm trying to be a good dad. I believe compassion is badass.
Yeah.
If you can punch somebody, fuck you. Anybody can punch anybody. I can get a stick off the road and beat you senseless. But what does that mean? I win?
Yeah.
Fuck that, man.
Yeah.
Even if I know you're wrong. But for me to go, you know what, you've had a bad day. You've come from a different avenue, this and that. I understand it's been bad for you. And, and he shook my hand, and I go, where are you from? And he goes, Albania. I go, well, no wonder you're fucking crazy.
But that's that old wisdom, though, isn't it? That the overconfidence is actually just a mask for fear.
Yeah.
And the people that are truly confident don't raise their voices and don't have to get angry because they're confident. So all this, and this all goes back from the man on the road, all the way up to North Korea and Guam, is if America and Trump was confident and had confidence and was a good leader, he'd sit back and not say anything and just go around. We're just gonna let those idiots do that thing because we know that we can take care of it if we have to. But to be saber rattling and all that rubbish, it just makes them look like they don't. Like the more he does that, the more I think maybe they don't know if they can take him out. Maybe North Korea is a little more powerful than they're letting on.
What's that Teddy Roosevelt thing? Speak softly, carry a big stick.
Yeah.
And Trump is yelling, and nobody's seen his stick.
But he's always
he has
been
small
like that.
hands.
That's why I would never have voted for him in the first place, because he just seems like the most underpowered, unconfident.
That's the thing that people don't realize.
He acts so overconfident, it makes me think he's got nothing.
That's the
It's
thing that people don't
absolute
realize.
rubbish. Anyone who's played poker, that would know.
46% of the American population did not vote at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
Yeah, and so it's just kind of like, okay, and he's like, oh, he still got a 38% or 35% approval rating. What is it now, 33 or some shit like that? And like, oh, that's a third of the country. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a third of the people that voted for him.
Yeah. Understanding is, as you said, is much harder. So if he doesn't have that depth of understanding, I don't think.
No.
He doesn't show it anyway. If I'm wrong about him and deep down behind closed doors, he's deeply understanding, I'd be surprised.
He's never, I've said this before, he's never had his ass kicked.
No.
He's never had, oh, I'm right. Boom, 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 boom. Wow, maybe I pushed that too far.
Well, he does in court, but he just doesn't admit it. He loses court cases left, right, center.
He's had to borrow a lot of money.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's something to be said about being calm and
he's
very reactionary.
No fucking humility.
But the
whatsoever.
world is full of this overconfidence right now, and especially coming out of the States, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's sad.
And Canada has always been the kind of country that has this diplomatic base for our understanding. But don't get me wrong, we've got loads of rednecks, loads of overconfident boneheads riding around trucks thinking that I know what's best for me. Like, just, okay, well, you don't. You don't. You just calm down. Everyone calm down and let's talk about it. And then because they're trying to, and I know you're not a big fan of Trudeau because, I know how you feel about him, but at the same time, he does stand for a form of diplomacy that is sort of unique to Canada, I think.
Unless you approach him on a beach like some guy did in Vancouver and asked him some information and was a native and was quickly arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're approaching the leader of the country.
Well, he came to
on a
your beach. He came
I
to your
know.
beach. He came to
Yeah.
your beach in your native area, and yeah. Anyway, it's
Okay, this isn't about us.
I'm not going to get into that. What I do want to talk
Sorry,
though, as
Dave.
we're about
Dave's
to
a little embarrassed. Doesn't know
as
what
we're
talking
about to end it down, it was a big week in last weekend in terms of entertainment. It was the Game of Thrones finale. I don't know if you watched that. It was also the Conor McGregor Mayweather fight, which I don't know if you watched that. But what it was
another Game of Thrones.
and so I don't know because you were in Edinburgh. But it was the worst box office weekend in 15 years.
Sure.
And they
Oh,
said,
the movies this summer have been
was-
fucking
But
shit.
it's all
And they haven't
it's
released
all
one.
sequels.
well,
It's
I
almost
watched
all
Dark
sequels.
Tower, you know,
Right, yeah.
you know.
No. I mean, it's classic, isn't it?
One of my man, Idris, fucking love Idris.
Yeah.
And but I can't. No, sorry, And the only movie that did well was Dunkirk, which was about holy shit, we better get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 did well.
It did okay, but I mean, it's been a horrible box
It's been a
office.
horrible fucking box office.
And it's also, I mean, as entertainers, we're starting to see the Netflix generation. We're starting to see the
Yeah.
box set where people, and I watched The Hitman's Bodyguard, the Ryan Reynolds one.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
It was just him being Deadpool. And I like him as Deadpool, but it was just Deadpool light.
Light, yeah.
And you sort of watch it and go, fuck, I can't wait till Game of Thrones is on. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and you watch something cinematic like that, and you start wondering, especially as entertainers, when we're providing entertainment on weekends, we're out at comedy clubs doing certain things.
Yeah.
How that this box set generation is going to affect live entertainment, and is it affecting comedy? I mean, there's some comedy companies that are sort of booking and putting stuff together as like little packages, like Get Comedy and stuff like that.
Sure.
Is it going to affect these box sets? Does it affect live entertainment? Do you think? Is it going to be a really difficult thing to overcome, or is live entertainment thriving in spite of it?
Well, I think there's a really great book out there called Bad Men, and it talks about the evolution of essentially what we call now box sets. The serial television thing with no restrictions on violence and language. And it starts with The Sopranos, and the last chapter is Breaking Bad. So it's everything in between, and all those people that did everything. And I think what's happened is it was really hot. So you get done with one, you're like, man, I've got to see another one. So you get on Netflix and you click on, you go, okay, this got 5 stars, and you watch it, and halfway through an episode, you're like, just kill me, this is fucking shit.
Yeah.
And then occasionally you come across, I'm like, oh, what's this? And you watch Ozark, and you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this is fantastic.
That's the one everyone's talking about.
Yeah. But there's so much crap in between.
Sure.
Because
But there's also
out
other
so
networks, other big networks, and I mean, I was just in a series for Epix called Brilliant Station. Watch it. I'm on next episode, I think. But there's other series like that. You suddenly discover, go, holy shit, there was five seasons of this. I didn't know that.
Yeah, sure.
And so suddenly it's like, and if you have a girlfriend or whatever, you binge watch with them and you cheat on her with a few different episodes you said you wouldn't watch and you do. But I just wonder in terms of live entertainment, if you've seen that it's affected in any way or affected the way the audience sort of engage.
Well, I don't know exactly. I'm kind of charmed in a position where I'm sort of playing the major comedy clubs. And I travel around the world, and I feel quite secure in my position. But I see the bounce back in audience. Thursday nights are filling up now. There are more people going out on weekends, and it is becoming a thing to do again. But that comes and goes with the economy, and I think Britain is in for a little bit of a testing over the next few years because of Brexit. But whether that actually makes people want to go out more, because we know it's kind of that the idea that more people go out when there's a recession.
Yeah.
Because they need to be, and what we do is actually slightly cheaper ticket prices, and it's also you get to go out in a bar and have a laugh, which doesn't mean you're not committing to go and watch a piece of theater, I'd say I just came back from the Edinburgh Festival, and there was more ticket sales, but they say this every year, who knows what, but it was jammed. The first 2 weeks were jammed. All the free fringe venues were jammed. People were out and about, and whether they spent more money, I don't know, but there are certainly more people going out. And maybe box sets, I think box sets affecting films, because those are Boardwalk Empire was one of the first ones. That's like 14-hour long film, really good film. If you watch it all at once, that's an amazing bit of
Actually,
art.
the first one was Sopranos, but it all kind of stemmed off.
Yeah. But that was the first HBO. The Sopranos was,
which is now a box set.
Yeah.
But have you ever met anybody who hasn't seen Breaking Bad? You're like, I just started watching Breaking Bad. I go, you haven't seen it?
Yeah.
And you go,
talk to him 2 days later. Talk to him 2 days later. Go, I've just finished Breaking Bad, because that's the kind of show where you don't want to go to sleep. You're just like, I gotta know what happens.
It's exactly like the
but
product.
as far as the stand-up thing, I mean, the comedy store in London, which is one of the best clubs around, wasn't sold out every show. There's a finite number of people who go see stand-up. And there is, last time I heard, 96 comics on tour right now. So they have these posters, and there's like 50, 60, 70 dates. It doesn't mean they're selling out every night, but it sees you're out there trying to get it done. And so many comedians who are going on tour now who aren't ready. I mean, they really aren't ready. But the industry doesn't give a shit. The agents don't give a shit. You know, it's like, we don't care if you develop as a town or not. And, you know, and there's a couple of comics that I'm aware of that are on tour, I think are good comics. I think they could have been way better comics if they would have held back another 10 years, but there's no fucking way you can tell anybody that these days. But then there's a whole slew of comics who are on tour right now that they'll be back in the clubs.
But they're trading on TV success, which doesn't last as long as you're actually on the TV.
No, exactly. Particularly if it's the major talent companies and production companies who own that talent agency, own that production company, and are putting their own talent on.
Yeah, but the thing is, over here, all this stuff is on television. It's not based on content. It's all based on demographic. So the best comics you see on television in the UK are not the best comics in the UK.
Overall.
No.
Yeah, overall.
They're
not,
pretty young.
And they're young. They're, for the most part, they haven't really worked out what the hell they're doing. It's very slick. They get, when they do the panel shows, you get guys who know what the fuck they're doing, feeding them the lines. And so, boom, they're on tour. So everybody shows up to see the guy that was on such and this and that. And if you're not a fan of that individual, but if you went out to see comedy, and you go, I want to see comedy. Oh, this guy's on television, let's go see him. And you go see him, and you go like going, wow, 20-minute bit on single beds. What the fuck, or whatever, right? And I'm not trying to bag on anybody individual, but kind of, for the longest time, comedy was always like, let's go see comedy. Who's on? Don't give a shit. Let's go see comedy.
Yeah, but the best clubs still give that as a product, because you can go to the Glee Club, the stand, or the Comedy Store, and you will see a fantastic bill.
Headliners,
you see the best headliners in the world that coming through and I think that's why the British comedy scene is still kind of
viable.
Yeah.
But there's definitely an income cap here. It's not like it used to be. And
no, definitely the money has not gone up in years.
No,
but I am actually attempting to do a tour. I toured nationally for about 3-4 years in a row. Did quite well, and then the Comic Roadshow, Michael McIntyre, and then this Apollo started, which I didn't get on either of those. And my touring dropped off because they were then putting in those spots, in those art centers, the names they saw on those shows. And so it didn't stop me from drawing numbers, but I'm attempting to do it this year using social networking alone, including this podcast. If you see that Phil Nichols out there, I'm doing a show, and I think it's a show worth seeing, which is why I'm doing it, not because I just want to get my name out there, because I don't need to do that.
No, I think it's great. As a matter of fact, hi, my name's Dave Fulton. When I'm not out there shooting guns or making fun of Trump, I like to go see my good friend Phil Nichol.
The show's called You're Wrong, Dave. And,
is that?
And
I hate it already.
Well, yeah. So we'll wrap it up. And so if you have anything to pitch, what do you got? You're gonna sell this social media self-published tour. When are you gonna start the sucker?
Oh well, I'm just working on it now, but it looks like it's gonna be start by the end of the year if we can get the dates. I'm playing the places. I have little groups of people that come and see me places, try and congeal it all and make it exciting for them to see. It's a new show. It's the only place you can see it. It's not a strict stand-up show, so it's not something I can do in the clubs anyway. It'll be sort of November to about May.
Perfect.
And it'll probably end up being only about 16 dates, but it'll be in small 200, 300 seat theaters.
And Dave, what do you got going on?
Besides slinging jokes to drunks in all the clubs around the country, I am in the latest issue of Classic Bike magazine.
Nice.
Talking about motorcycles, and the script I've written, which is called Race with Diablo. And it's pretty much about a guy comes back from Vietnam in 1969. He's troubled. He just wants to get back to building and racing motorcycles, and he's discovered his mom sold her soul to the devil to keep him safe, and now he has to race the devil on bikes.
It's a very good thing. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Another great episode of Scrotus POTUS. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Share this, guys. Listen. Tell all your friends. This is Scrotus POTUS. Thanks a lot.